It's been rolling for 11 minutes. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so it's live right now.
Oh, you're on your mic.
Hang on one second.
Yeah, it's going. This computer's
Hang on one second.
audio.
Check, check.
Check, check, check.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3.
Check,
Testing.
check,
1, 2,
check.
3.
Hey, 2, 2, 2, 2. Check, check.
Good morning, everybody. We want to go ahead and get started, and our run of the show is going to begin with Mr. Lord Watson from the Penny Foundation. Lord, if you can come up to the stage, please, sir.
The Penny Foundation is one of only 3 community foundations in America that is operated and managed by African Americans.
Investing in the Penny Foundation helps build a permanent institution of programming and grant making for the African American community.
Our vision is to close the economic inequality gap that exists in the Black community. Our programs are designed to build economic engines that circulate money within our community.
This is very important. If we are truly wanting to keep our dollars in our communities, we need platforms such as this to be able to achieve that.
So good morning. Not quite sure how to start. I'm excited about today. I'm nervous about today, and have all of the emotions and all of the feelings. But I am glad to see everyone in the room, in the space, as we have this inaugural Southern Classic debate. I can tell you, so part of it is this, right? I want to thank 6th Avenue Baptist Church, Reverend Canelo for opening these facilities for us to have this debate. It's personal because about 18 years ago, I stood in this very pulpit and accepted my license into ministry. And so this is a personal space for me. And so I am glad to welcome you all into this space. To the Penny Foundation, to the board members, on behalf of the board members, on behalf of my staff, we are excited to see you on today. To Samford University, right? 2-time Samford alum. So I hold that university very dear. I grew up on that campus, right? A young pup from 17, coming from Brewton, Alabama to Birmingham, and Samford sunk its hooks in me, and I've been here ever since. And to my new family, I'm just meeting now at Howard University. We welcome you all to Birmingham as well. To all those who are watching on live stream, thank you for joining us as well. This is a great event. On November the 5th, we will select the next president of the United States. On October the 6th, what then? And so what we face is a time in our nation where we have conversations, but we're not necessarily listening to one another. And so part of the purpose of how this debate came about was wanting to figure out, how do we begin to model, how do we have conversations, civil conversations about tough topics? And as I began to think through how do we make that happen, I began to look at different models, I began to talk to people, this concept of debate came about. As I began to look at different debate competitions, I began to look at different schools and beginning to learn about debate, and it became clear that one way to model that is to have a debate here in Birmingham, Alabama. Now, I've been here since '97. I have not heard of a college debate happening in Birmingham, and so I'm believing it's the first. And so I'm excited to be able to be a part of the team that brought this to you all on today. I'm excited for the students. I can't wait for you all to meet them and hear them. I know they're prepared. I've had many conversations with them. Lastly, I will leave you with this, right? This is a conversation about democracy, not necessarily about Republican, not necessarily about Democrat, but democracy, right? And it's what we all live in, what we all experience. And so I'm glad to have this conversation in the South. And so this concept of intellectual sports. And so all you young people here, I thank you all for coming. I want this new concept, well, it's not a new concept, but I want you all to think of it as intellectual sports. So we're stretching, we are strengthening the muscles in our minds, and we're prepared to use those muscles to do great things. And so with that, I thank you all for coming, and I'm going to turn it over to Randall to continue the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord. our next guest is very important to me because without her, this wouldn't happen. So without further ado, Commissioner Scales, join us on stage.
Good morning. How's everybody doing today? It is a wonderful day, and this is a wonderful program. And it is, I believe, the inaugural debate kind of event, and I'm so excited. So I want to bring you greetings on behalf of Jefferson County Commission. We are proud sponsors in being able to bring this kind of smart programming to you, because we're living in a time where being dumb is more celebrated than being intellectual. So I want to tell you that I want to thank Mr. Watson with the Penny Foundation for having the vision to be on the cutting edge of doing something different so that we can have a different outcome. Is that all right? I want to say this very quickly to those who have put all of this together on their behalf. I want to welcome you to the Southern Scholars Debate Classic. And I want to leave you with this because yesterday I had the unique opportunity to talk to the debaters before today. They're very smart, and I really love it. So for the children who are here, the students who are here, I want you to gravitate to them. And after this is over, exchange phone numbers and know that being smart is cool. Being dumb is not. So I want to just give you something. There's a movie that I love by Denzel Washington. He starred in this movie. It was called The Great Debaters. And one of the things that he did, because at that particular time, blacks were not allowed to compete with white colleges. And the one thing that he said, and he had them to repeat, he said, "Who is the judge? The judge is God." Why is he God? Because he decides who wins or loses, not my opponent. Who is my opponent? It doesn't exist. Why doesn't it exist? Because it's only a figment of my imagination to the truth that I speak. I say this to my students. I have them to repeat in my district. It's called our deepest fear. Your deepest fear is not that you are inadequate. Your deepest fear is that you are powerful beyond measure. It is not your light, it's your darkness that frightens you the most. And so you ask yourself, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? In fact, who am I not to be? I am a child of God. My playing small does not serve the well. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around me. I was meant to shine as children do. I was born to make manifest the glory of God that is within me. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as I let my own light shine, I unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As I am liberated from my own fears, my presence automatically liberates others. Again, welcome. Take advantage of this great opportunity. And I always say, let the fun begin. God bless you. And I'm supposed to be introducing, that's right. And I'm supposed to be introducing, which I'm proud to be able to do, Mr. Randall Cottrell. And he's a native of Birmingham or Montgomery, my understanding. And he's with Blue Gyra. Blue Gyra is the events management team who put all of this on for the Penn Foundation. And he also have an aviation event management company in Hoover. So just imagine, this is the first debate. And now we're talking about aviation and getting up in the sky and doing some big things. So I present to some and introduce to others. Put your hands together for Mr. Randall Cottrell, president of Blue Gyra.
Well, happy Friday. We're going to get right to it. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you to the sponsors, Commissioner Scales and the commission. Penny Foundation for starting this whole firestorm of intellectual sport. I'm proud to be a part of it. Thank you to the team that helped put this together. Thank you to Eugene's Hot Chicken for hosting us for lunch yesterday. Birmingham has welcomed Howard here with open arms, the Convention Bureau as well. It's been a fantastic experience, and we're going to have a great day today. So let's meet the debate teams. Howard University. You coming? Okay. Come on, Howard. Come on, Howard. Howard University. There we go. All right. So one thing I want to point out as we start, this young lady right here, Elandria Baker, is our only female debater. It is not an easy thing to be a debater, first of all, but also to be a female debater in a male-driven intellectual sport. Let's give a hand to Elandria Baker. So Elandria Baker is a second-year political science major and sociology minor from Kansas City, Missouri. Elandria has been a part of the Howard University speech and debate team since 2023. A quote that inspires Elandria daily is, "A genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus." Martin Luther King Jr. Great quote. Robert Khalil Baker, let's give him a hand. Welcome, Robert. Robert Khalil Baker is a junior honors finance major with a minor in strategic legal communications, hailing from Roosevelt, New York, that's near Long Island, a dedicated member of the Howard University speech and debate team since 2022. A quote that motivates Khalil is, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter." Martin Luther King Jr. once again. Now, we're going to welcome Samford. Y'all can have a seat. Samford debate team, come on out. Welcome. TJ Riggs, a senior political science and Spanish double major from Marietta, Georgia, is an honor student at Samford, majoring in, what are you majoring in? Political science and Spanish. He's a dedicated member of the Samford debate team for 4 years. A quote that motivates TJ is, "More is lost by indecision than wrong decision. Indecision is a thief of opportunity. It will steal you blind," by Marcus Tullius Sierra. Maddox Gates is majoring in acting and directing from Atlanta, Georgia. He's going to be moving to New York soon, correct? All right, awesome. He's a dedicated member of the Samford debate team for the last 5 years. Maddox has made history as one of Samford's strongest debaters in his long history. A quote that motivates Maddox is, "Life doesn't get in the way, life is the way." Have a seat. These two teams, these schools, they represent the top teams in the nation. You might not know this, but Howard and Samford have both beat Harvard, which is considered the top debate school in the entire world. Don't we have a Harvard winner here? This guy right here. Yes. So let's give that a hand. He's good. All right. Let's go over some debate format and rules. Both teams have agreed that the purpose of this debate is not competition or conflict, but to perform a civic display to the community on an important issue. Debate is an intellectual sport. Let the debate begin. We will now officially start the debate between Howard and Samford University. This will be a parliamentary-style debate. Points of inquiry will be allowed during the debate, and for the guests, points of inquiry are a feature of parliamentary debate that allows opposing team members to offer a brief question during the current speech. Today's topic is, the United States' predominantly two-party political system is the best way to govern its citizens. Howard University will argue the affirmative. Samford will argue the opposition. Let's begin.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. My name is Elandria Baker. I am a sophomore political science major, sociology minor, representing Howard University on the affirmative. I would like to send a series of thank yous before I begin. First, to my wonderful partner, Robert Khalil Kelly, who helped me prepare for this debate. I'd like to thank my coach, Attorney Minor, for pouring into us and helping us prepare for this debate today. My partner and I extend our thank you to Commissioner Sales for preparing us and for her unmeasured support at this event. We would like to thank the Penny Foundation and Blue Gyra. We extend the warmest thank yous to Reverend Watson, the visionary for today's debate. We'd like to extend our thank yous to the city of Birmingham, Alabama for welcoming us. And we would finally like to thank our opponents from Samford College for debating us today. With that, let's begin. Today, my partner and I affirm the resolution resolved. The United States' predominantly two-party political systems is the best way to govern its citizens. We offer the following definitions to frame today's debate. Two-party political system, defined by Britannica, a political system in which the electorate gives its votes largely to only two major parties. Predominantly, defined by Merriam-Webster, means superior to all others in influence or importance. Best, defined by Cambridge University, highest quality or being the most suitable, pleasing, or effective type of thing or person. Govern, defined by Oxford Languages, conduct the policy, actions, and affairs of a state, organization, or people. We offer the value of normative democracy, defined by Samford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, which concerns collective decision-making, by which we mean decisions that are made for groups and are meant to be binding on all members of the group. To uphold our value is our value criterion, defined by author Ian Hurd of Princeton University. Legitimacy is the belief that a rule, institution, or leader has the right to govern. When shared by many individuals, legitimacy produces distinctive collective effects in society, including making collective social order more efficient, more consensual, and perhaps more just. To achieve a democracy, we need a legitimate system, a two-party system. We offer the following definitions and observations to establish the parameters of this debate. The affirmative not only asserts that the United States' predominantly two-party political systems is the best way to govern its citizens, but we also challenge the negation to prove that alternative systems provide better representation, greater legitimacy, and viable governance. Thus, the burden lies with the negation to demonstrate that systems other than the established two-party framework can effectively address the complexities and demands of our democratic system. To uphold our framing for this round, we offer the following three contingents of representation, government legitimacy, and no other option. Contention number one, representation. The European Journal of Sociology writes that parties are by far the most important part of the representative structure in complex democratic societies. The character and number of the political parties seeking to represent the various groups in a contrary are perhaps the chief determinants of how far the government acts through a stable system of interchanges between the key solidary groups and the political elite. A two-party system which has characterized the United States politics, since inherent in a two-party system is the need for cooperation among diverse strata. Essentially, to achieve the needs of a diverse group of people most effectively and to represent those needs is a two-party system.
Why is a two-party system uniquely key to that happening? Why can't we do that with multiple parties?
I will get to that in the rest of our case. United States Embassy and Consulate in the Kingdom of Denmark emphasizes the point by writing that one advantage of having a two-party system is that it helps ensure that the two main parties in power have a wide platform that represents the general public. Because the two parties are so large, there is room for a wide range of political positions within each party. This means that there may exist slightly in varying political viewpoints on different matters within each parties. The impact here is the best representation for all people in a society. The United States two-party system ensures broad, effective representation by consolidating diverse voices under two major platforms. This unity allows for different ideological groups to be heard within a cohesive structure, unlike multi-party systems, where narrow...
How could diversity be consolidated?
I will be getting that to the rest of our case. The two-party system simplifies choices for voters, enabling decisive leadership that reflects the will of the majority. By moderating extreme views, it creates balanced governance and preserves stability, making it the most efficient and inclusive way to represent the diverse needs for the American citizens. Contention number two, government legitimacy. Nizov 21 writes that in his 1988 article, The Economist, Karl Popper explained why this theory of democracy necessitated a two-party system. The purpose of democracy is the removal of bad leaders without violence and the trial and the correction of policy errors. When there are only two parties, if voters are dissatisfied with how the party in power governs, they can vote it out in the next election. But in a system with proportional representation or a multi-party system, even if a party in power is thrown out from government by a majority of citizens in the next election, it could still cling to power by forming a coalition with a smaller party. So, thus meaning there is no accountability in a multi-party system, to my point of inquiry on the opposition. Unlike other alternatives, the two-party system makes it possible for voters to signal their their views as to the effectiveness and desirability of a government's policies. This is the most efficient system ensuring a stable government. As Lawrence Lovell argues that the lower house of a national parliament must contain two parties and two parties only, in order that the parliamentary form of government should permanently produce good results. Good results is dependent on turn of stability. The larger the number of discordant groups, the form of the majority, the harder the task of pleasing them all, and the more feeble and unstable the position of the cabinet. The European Journal of Sociology writes that traditional legitimacy can only be created by prolonged effectiveness. That is by the government which shows that it can satisfy the most people the most of the time. The more groups within a government, a multi-party system, the more disorganized and unstable a government becomes. Thus, a two-party system is the best and most effective. The impact here is that the United States two-party system enhances government legitimacy. Remember our value criterion. By allowing voters to hold leaders accountable through clear electoral mandates, as our contention outlines, in a two-party system, dissatisfaction with governance enables voters to remove the party in power without violence and correct policy errors swiftly. This structure can contrast sharply with proportional representation voting, where parties can cling to power through coalitions, undermining public trust and governmental authority. Furthermore, as argued in our contention, the effective governance relies on stability, highlights the importance of a unified party in achieving good results. The two-party system fosters this stability, proving that it can satisfy most citizens most of the time, which leads me to my third contention of no other option. The American Political Science Review writes that Diverger's law proposes that the simple majority single ballot system favors the two-party system. If winning is defined as the most votes, that is as plurality, then one might reasonably expect a two-party system owing to the necessity under the definition of maximizing votes. Since the best way in the long run is to get the most votes, it is to get the more than half. Each of two parties might be expected to structure a coalition in the hope before the election of getting the majority. In short, when the definition of winning forces candidates to maximize votes in order to win, as in a plurality system, they have strong motives to create a two-party system. Jackson 21 writes that let's say you're a libertarian. You cast your vote for the libertarian candidate. That's going to draw votes away from the person who is next to your closest views, the Republican. You've taken a valuable vote away from that Republican, which means it's more likely now for the Democrat to win. The impact here is the best of poor quality solutions. Proportional representation would undoubtedly make other parties more competitive and gain more representation in Congress, but altering our electoral method would be nearly impossible to implement into our current democratic system of government. Additionally, it generates extremist parties that would gain representation in government as seen in Eastern Europe. What this boils down to is in a two-party political system, we have a choice to vote, a choice that we need to protect. We need to protect the black vote. We need to protect the brown vote. We need to protect the woman vote. We cannot protect our vote when we are in a system that is monolithic. We cannot protect our vote when we are in a system that is multi-party. We need to protect the vote. It is for these reasons that we urge a ballot in the affirmative, the ballot for Howard University. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm TJ Riggs. Also, before I get started, I'd like to give some quick thank yous. First to Lord Watson and the Penny Foundation. Thank you for sponsoring and having us here at this event. To Randall Cottrell and Blue Gyra, thank you for making this happen. To Brigitte LeBlanc, thank you so much for all of your work in organizing this. It's been wonderful to see the vision come to life, so thank you. To Commissioner Scales, thank you so much for your hospitality, having us yesterday, for your tireless work for the people of Birmingham, and for supporting these very necessary educational opportunities here in our city. To Khalil, Alandria, and Dr. Miner, thank you so much for coming down from DC to debate with us. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know y'all, and I'm so excited that we're here today. To my partner Maddox, to my coach Lee Quinn, and to Dean Don McCormick from the Samford College of Arts and Sciences, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting debate. And Lee, thank you for your help. Finally, to you all, thank you all for being here. It's an incredibly important event. We have a big election coming up. Critical questions about our democracy need to be answered. And it's important. It starts with all of us. It starts with having these conversations. So I thank you all for taking the time out of your Friday morning to come listen to us talk. But yeah, with that being said, let's get started. In the words of our nation's first president, I have already intimated to you the danger of one faction or parties in the state, the alternate domination of one faction over another, sharpened by the spirit of revenge natural to party dissension, which in different ages and countries has perpetrated the most horrid enormities, is itself a frightful despotism. From the very founding of our great nation, political thinkers have warned us about the inherent danger in a two-party system. A two-party system necessitates a lack of choice, and in turn creates a frightful tyranny of the majority that leaves us at the whims of the most extreme of political positions. Now, when I look out upon this crowd, I don't see Republicans or Democrats. I see Americans who may agree on some topics and disagree on others. But the failure of American politics today is that we are forced into certain partisan roles because of our two-party system that pits us against each other and makes us believe we are each other's opponents instead of working towards compromise and unity. The topic at hand is the two-party system is the best political system to govern the United States. The rules of debate stipulate that Howard's burden as the affirmative in this debate is to prove that the two-party system is the best way to govern the United States on the following 5 issues as laid out in the program: free enterprise, foreign policy, education, healthcare, and affirmative action. If we prove that a two-party system results in more polarization and extremism that undermines effective progress on any one of these key issues, and that a proportional system of representation is better, then Samford has won today's debate. At the macro level, we will win the claim that a two-party system errs towards extremism and polarization. Studies show that two-party systems create more political polarization and extremism, encourage election denialism, and makes radical actions against minorities more likely than in multi-party systems. Grant Tudor from the Harvard Kennedy School and fellow at the Center for Public Leadership finds that studies observe different levels of polarization and anti-democratic extremism in countries with winner-take-all systems, or two-party systems, as compared to those with proportional representation, or multi-party systems. Because multi-party coalitions bring different partisans together across time and require compromise among them, both elites and voters tend to exhibit less intra-party hostility. A more proportional system may help to rein in spiraling polarization. Having more seat-winning parties may also aid efforts to combat escalating extremism. Across democracies, multi-party coalitions have been at the forefront of efforts to confront and isolate extremist movements. Now, the topic at hand asks us to address each of the following points, and even winning a single one of these points proves that a two-party system is not the best form of governance for the United States. First is the issue of free enterprise. Allow us to point to global examples as a testimony to the economic benefits of proportional representation. Countries such as Denmark, Switzerland, Sweden, New Zealand, and Canada rank highest among quality of life and GDP per capita reports in 2024. And this is no surprise or coincidence. It is due to their multi-party systems. Second is the issue of foreign policy. A winner-take-all system results in swings in foreign policy that undermine American credibility abroad. This is Scott Mainring, a political science professor writing from Notre Dame, who said this winner-take-all system leads presidents to react more strongly to previous administrations in reversing policies, which becomes destabilizing for economic investments and for foreign policy. The United States now experiences warned about perils of presidentialism, gridlock, immobilization, and the problem of dual legitimacy. These back and forth swings undermine consistency in American governance, which is crucial to our foreign policy for both our allies and our enemies. Third is the issue of education. A two-party system polarizes educational policy, causing populist revolts against educational systems for political gain. This is Jack Schneider, the director at the Center for Educational Policy. He finds that when the race to the top becomes winner-take-all, students are the big losers. And as the stakes grow higher and higher, public education falls further behind. Political fallout from this high-stakes battle for elite credentials has been profound, helping to fuel the populist revolt that ushered in the Trump era. Competition for educational prizes has also undermined any notion of K-12 education. When your material interests seem to hinge on maintaining a personal advantage, it's hard to think about the public good. Issue 4 is healthcare. The two-party system undermines effective healthcare. This is Jonathan Obenlander, the chair and professor of social medicine at UNC Chapel Hill. He found in 2024 that during the past decade, partisan divisions have defined American health politics. Partisanship undercut America's response to COVID. Meanwhile, partisan polarization on the Affordable Care Act delayed adoptions of policies to enhance the affordability of health insurance and is preventing the United States from adopting reforms that move beyond Obamacare to address persistent issues with insurance coverage, underinsurance, and healthcare spending. Hyperpartisanship injects political instability into healthcare programs and policies that are adopted. To be successful, public health must resonate and communicate across persons with different political identities. A polarized America is ultimately neither a healthy polity nor a country. Furthermore, look at the examples above that we gave about free enterprise. All of those countries, such as New Zealand, Switzerland, and Canada, consistently have the top-ranked access to healthcare in the world. Finally, two-party politics harms affirmative action. Stephen Hill, a senior fellow with the New America Foundation.
Point of information.
Yes.
Given that smaller niche parties tend to represent narrow interests, how can you ensure that the voices of marginalized communities like Black and Brown voters are not diluted in the noise of a fragmented political landscape?
Absolutely. I think the question actually answers itself in that when we have diverse parties that represent specific intersections of our population, it can best capture the needs and wants of those groups. You talk about coalition building. We think that, again, when you have different groups like intersectional minority movements, they're able to coalesce together and be able to pass better legislation quickly and more efficiently than in a two-party system. Continuing, with proportional representation, a progressive party could also find unexpected allies. Progressives might not outdo conservatives in winning over the majority, but a winner-take-all two-party system facilitates a divide-and-conquer strategy in which a conservative party can cut into economically progressive majorities with such wedged social issues as affirmative action. A multi-party system based on proportional representation would allow us to find out where the American people really stand. Thus, we have proven with evidence from highly qualified experts that a proportional representation system would reduce the partisan divide and help advance America on key issues, including free enterprise, foreign policy, education, healthcare, and affirmative action. As it stands, the two-party system is driving our nation into a dangerous place of extremism that risks the collapse of our very democratic process. But it's not too late to change. By embracing a multi-party system, where everyone's political opinions can be accurately represented by a specific party, we can reduce political extremism and return to a world of friendly and effective political action. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So again, before I begin my time, I would like to continue the extension of the blanket of thanks. Thank you to everybody here to participate in this educational discussion. Thank you to my amazing partner for helping me and encouraging me. Thank you to our opponents for helping us to have this conversation. And thank you to all of you. This is something that's really important. We really want to push the sport of debate, and we're so happy that you're here. With that being said, let's let the time begin. So let's start, ladies and gentlemen. Today, the affirmative stands in defense of our democracy, which is rooted in representation, accountability, and legitimacy. Our value today is democracy. And again, our criterion is legitimacy, which ensures that our political system reflects the will of the people. My opponents got up here and tried to argue that the two-party system undermines representation and stifles progress. But let me point out some logical fallacies in their argumentation and demonstrate how the two-party political system enhances legitimacy, empowers marginalized voices, and drives political innovation. Let's begin with the point they make about polarization and how they believe that this two-party system separates us. Polarization is a global phenomenon that exists across political systems. This is non-unique to a two-party system. In fact, multi-party systems can be even more polarizing because they encourage factionalism and often lead to unstable coalition governments. The two-party system, by contrast, forces parties to move towards the center to win elections, especially in swing states, especially in states of economic and political dissonance, leading to more moderation in policymaking. Even in times of gridlock, the two-party system provides stability and a clear process for governance, which prevents the frequent collapse of government that often plagues multi-party systems. Again, the consistency and compromise I'll get to in a second. The consistency and compromise offered by the two-party system is far more conducive to long-term governance and legislative action than in the volatile coalition dynamics in a multi-party system. So let's talk about the two specific points they make about education and healthcare, starting with education. Educational policies like No Child Left Behind and Every Student Succeeds has become possible through the focused governance provided by a two-party system. Research by the National Bureau of Economic Research shows that multi-party systems often struggle to pass significant educational reforms because they have to cater to a wide range of smaller groups with competing interests. The United States two-party system, however, ensures that when the electorate demands change, this change can actually happen because the cohesiveness of these party platforms are not watered down by competing partners. Second, healthcare. The Affordable Care Act has expanded healthcare access to millions of Americans globally, and is the product of a two-party system and their ability to create and cater to the mandates for action. According to the Commonwealth Fund, countries that have multi-party systems, such as the Netherlands, struggle with frequent policy action changes due to coalition politics. So again, we're seeing that this is leading to public dissatisfaction and inconsistent coverage. I'll take your point now.
Yeah, you said that the multi-party system lacks stability and causes collapse of governance. Can you give examples of where a multi-party system has resulted in the collapse of a stable democratic nation?
Absolutely can. So let's get to that. Actually, let's talk about that point right here, right? So let's talk about global examples of multi-party systems, right? While some multi-party systems function similarly effectively with smaller, more like homogenous countries such as New Zealand or Germany, they do not offer a viable model for a large and diverse nation such as the United States. We have a political system that requires stability and efficiency in order to govern a population of over 300 million people in 50 states with vastly different political cultures. So a two-party system provides that stability. Multi-party systems, again, by contrast, frequently suffer from these government collapses, unstable coalitions, and policy paralysis. And again, this continues to happen in countries that have diverse populations and regional differences. The scale and complexity of the United States governance requires a broad, cohesive coalition that only a two-party system can provide in today's debate. Continuing to their second response about how this lacks representation, this is something they were getting at in their point of information.
Sorry, quickly, point of inquiry. What were those countries? You keep saying that they exist, but what are they?
Okay, again, I pointed out that countries, homogenous countries like New Zealand or Germany, where this is not really a viable model that we can use for the United States.
That's the ones that work. Which are the ones that don't work?
Okay, I can get to that in the middle of the round.
Sure.
Awesome. So continue my responses to the rebuttals to our first contention about representation, right? And how this is suppressing the minority vote and how a two-party system is somehow harming diversity here. The two-party system does not suppress minority voices. It actually empowers these voices by integrating diverse perspectives into broad political coalitions. Movements such as the civil rights movement, the labor rights movement, the environmental justice movements all thrive within two-party systems. So again, we're seeing minority voices are not becoming marginalized into small fringe parties. We're seeing that these fringe parties lack the power to impact and effect real change. Within two-party systems, we're seeing that minority groups can align with larger political movements and have their voices heard and their concerns addressed at the highest levels of government. To make an even stronger point, the two-party system amplifies minority voices by incorporating them into major national parties where they have real political power and influence. In a multi-party system, these voices are more likely to be isolated, politically sidelined, and set to the side, which we cannot see happen in today's society. A two-party system is what allow for the civil rights movement to thrive. A two-party system is crucial for empowering Black voters. It's crucial to empowering brown voters. It's crucial to empowering voters of color and other women voters. Historically, this was evident during the civil rights movement, where we've seen leaders such as Martin Luther King align with the Democratic Party to secure pivotal legislation, such as the Voting Rights Act of 1965. So again, this partnership enabled the aspirations of Black voters to be prioritized, resulting in significant advances for us in society. So we're seeing that a two-party system is more impactful to actually impact and effectuate change in society. Moving forward, denied for a second. Moving forward, again, we're seeing how this stifles innovation and lacks policy solutions, right? Innovation does not arise from the number of parties, but from the demands of the electorate. We're seeing that two-party systems creates competitive landscapes where parties must continuously evolve in order to attract and address pressing issues like healthcare and mental health and all the issues that we're addressing under today's debate. The two-party system does not stifle innovation, and instead it enables a flourishing government and private sector solutions. So yes, we can have our cake and eat it too under a two-party political system. So now let's remind ourselves of what we are debating today. This two-party system is not only effective, but it's necessary. Let's remind ourselves of the resolution that the United States should predominantly two-party system is the best way to govern citizens. We are not arguing the word perfect. We are arguing the word best. So we're seeing that my opponent is failing to understand the call of the resolution. All problems cannot just be blamed on a two-party system. Thus, this argument about this two-party system, how it enforces us to pick between two poisons and how it lacks perfection, falls today. Our soft evidence states that our two-party system is far from perfect, and the contemporary American political system needs to have substantial reforms. But to blame all these problems on America faces, from political polarization to partisanship to low voter turnout and dissatisfaction with government, just on a two-party system, is to ignore the complexity that is society. That is, societal phenomena often have multiple causes and effects of hidden interconnections. So let me paint two worlds for you to help you understand and contextualize today's debate. Let's talk about the world of the negation. In the world of the negation, we're experiencing a multi-party system where and these alternatives exist, but we're experiencing fractured governments that consistently are being held hostage by small fringe parties with extremist views. This world leads to unstable conditions. This world leads to frequent government gridlock. This world leads to policy compromises that fail to address urgent issues. Policies become diluted and competing interests compete for influence, ultimately resulting in inefficiency and political chaos. Now let's talk about the affirmative world and why we have won today's debate. In the world of the affirmative, in a world that has a two-party system, we see a clear and stable society that promotes accountability. We see that major parties are forced to build coalition and incorporate diverse perspectives and ensuring that all voices in all walks of life, particularly marginalized individuals, are heard in the way we produce policies. Policy solutions are strong, they're coherent, whether they're addressing free enterprise or foreign policy or healthcare. We're seeing when change is needed, we actually have the tools we need to get it done. Black and brown communities gain power through alliances with these parties. So in closing, we encourage you to vote for democracy, vote for accountability, vote for a system that protects the voices and freedoms of every citizen, and vote for side affirmative in today's debate. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maddox Gates, and I'd like to take a moment before my speech to thank everyone that is both with us in person and those that are with us in mind and spirit, and that those that could not be with us today. This debate goes for more than just those who are in the room. Don't let what we're doing here today to stop you from believing that you can't do it too. Everyone in here is capable of having these discourses, and these are really important conversations that I'm glad I'm having with all of y'all. Ready? Okay. Remember what TJ isolated in his first speech, and that the burden of the proposition is to defend that the two-party system is the best form of representative government. Absent a robust defense against all 5 points that we've isolated on the flow, all we need to do is win a 1% risk of a solvency deficit to these 5 regions. The policy gridlock that Khalil referenced is the one of the status quo now, where bills are impassable because of policy and partisan infighting, because people aren't willing to sponsor bills because another party started that. That doesn't sound like the best interest of the American people. It sounds like the best interest of political division and consolidation of political conglomerations. Moving on to the proposition. First, they say that democracy is key. However, the two-party system is actually worse for democracy as voter suppression. Like, try getting a license in the state of Alabama. Governments are going to do whatever they can to try and keep people going from the polls. This is empirically proven with Stacey Abrams' election in Georgia. The two-party system is inherently good at consolidating people so they can rationalize and mobilize against the other party and try and deny those votes. No one ever wants to count Metro Atlanta votes because they know that that's where the Democrat votes are coming, or no one wants to count rural votes because they know that that's where GOP votes are coming. We need to get rid of this and get rid of the geographical consolidation of political alliances. Second, they say that their value criterion is legitimacy. However, the two-party system is actually way worse for causing corruption. You can literally see a January 6th insurrection. The legitimacy has been terminally tanked both in foreign and domestic policy as a result of political infighting, corruption in the old boys clubs that is Washington, D.C. and the Hill. They also said that multi-party is bad.
You talk about corruption in the two-party system, but in a multi-party system with many small parties holding disproportionate power, who do voters hold accountable when things go wrong?
Yeah, so basically the voters are able to hold other parties accountable via their vote because there's not two parties and you have to choose one of less evils. Corrupt parties are naturally going to get filtered out because people won't vote for them because they aren't pigeonholed into voting into one of two choices. People are individualized and able to make hyper-specific and nuanced decisions based off of their political ideology and not just picking into one of two hats.
Follow up?
Yes.
All right, so you're talking about how it's hyper-specific, but if there is a specific person, how are you likely to vote them out if that power is still within? Like, there's two parties, so you can easily vote them out.
Well,
with a multi-party system, then you are not able to as easily vote them out. Thus, you talked about the complexity.
Yeah, I think that question operates under the same framework that like relies on them having the same amount of voters in their base and like GOP, Democrat versus multi-party. However, in a world in which there's a corrupt actor, because there's not the large like monolithic consolidation of numbers, they're not going to be like that insulated with their numbers and their supporter base. Moving on, they say that the two-party system is flawed. However, they never really gave a warrant as to why that isn't true. They say that they can't just blatantly say that. However, we have literally centuries of empirical reasons why the American people are consistently turned a deaf ear to when it comes to their actual problems. They're not constituents, they're votes. Only every 4 years do people come around and see what's going on in their communities, and they take toll for the next 4 years. Next, they say that the two-party system actually increases diversity. However, we would say that the two-party system treats Black voters, brown voters, and voters of other social identity groups like a monolith and tries to use and co-opt them and get all of their votes in one fell swoop. However, a multi-party approach allows for people to individually actually pick the beliefs that they have and they harbor, as opposed to just being reduced to just a Black vote or just a brown vote. You're actually your vote, and you're isolating what are the most salient issues to you. And they said that two-party is key to civil rights. However, no, we would make the argument that it actually increased racialized violence by polarizing and politicizing the legislation when it was being implemented into the House and to the Senate, because it then became a partisan issue in terms of segregating or desegregating schools or other public amenities. That then became a political issue as opposed to a human one, whereas a multi-party system doesn't have to have a binary yes, no, Democrat, Republican. It can actually have a more nuanced answer as opposed to the truncated 1-2 punch of a two-party system. Moving on to our value criterions, there were 5 different regions of this debate that we were isolated to talk about. Howard did a very good job addressing educational reform in terms of every child left behind, but they have completely neglected 3 other areas and regions of the topic. Firstly, free enterprise. The laundry list of countries that TJ named off, including New Zealand, Germany, the Netherlands, Denmark, all of the Scandinavian countries, are all leading the world in free trade right now, whereas the United States has entered multiple repressive different trade wars with China as a result of politicized economic policies in order to drive up voters into their voter groups. So basically, what we're saying with this is that free enterprise, and this is completely uncontested by Howard, is actually made better in a world of multiple different political parties, because there's not going to be the same consolidation into the same super PACs and donation groups that the DNC and the GOP have, but rather they're actually held accountable to their voters, because that vote means a lot more, because it's not just one drop in one bucket. Moving on to foreign policy, you can extend that here. The main ring Notre Dame evidence is actually fantastic about why two-party systems decreases legitimacy in foreign policy, because it creates dual legitimacy in which there's a dual presidency in both the incumbent presidency and also the will of the House, the will of the Senate, the will of the person who's running against them. No policies are actually permanent because of the binary policy nature of it, meaning that there's actual no room for substantive change. Moving on to healthcare. I say that healthcare in the two-party system is better. However, you can see all the extensive Obamacare-related fights during the 2012s that this is absolutely untrue. Political infighting, both intra-party and extra-party, have led to the deaths of millions of Americans needlessly. You can also see this through COVID-19 and the way that the pandemic was held out and the rollout with that, because wearing a mask became a political yes-no issue. Many people lost their lives unwillingly due to other people not being willing to coalesce and actually be pragmatic in terms of their political understanding and interactions and entanglings with the perceived other. But the only thing that is other is kind of like where this thought is stemming from, because we're Americans. We're not born red or blue. We're born with our hearts beating, and we're born caring about the people next to each other. However, there are those in Washington that would have it so that we view what the R or the D means more than what the actual person and the content and quality of their character is. Lastly, they never addressed affirmative action insofar as to the 5 regions, meaning that there certainly is no way, and we don't have to do much on the flow here in terms of why two-party policy is actually much worse for affirmative action. You can see the way that the affirmative action movement and the political impetus in the status quo was co-opted by one of the parties, and they eventually got rid of affirmative action and policies like that in terms of college admissions, which actually decreased the amount of diversity at Yale and other Ivy League institutions. This was because a political party saw that there was a societal group that found this to be an issue, and they decided to make that a political one, reinscribing and recalcifying that 1-2 Republican-Democrat binary and putting American people in best interest once again at the very crossroads of the interests and of the political machinations of our governing body. Look, there's not a lot that I have to do here. All of that was done further on the argument. The clash on the line by line is clear. The two-party system has no robust explanation for why it's better for foreign policy or for free enterprise. Educationally, you can see all of the polarization that happens in infighting with book burning, and then all of the different like rages and that they're going against in terms of like critical race theory and all of the different aspects of education that get put into the political foray, which takes books out of our children's hands and puts dollars into the pockets of those that are in Washington. What we need to do is reconsolidate our political will and impetus, not into political parties, but into political action, so we can actually impact the streets and not the pews of Washington, D.C. Thank you.
All right, let's put a bow on it, huh? Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of my opponent's last speech, they offer you two worlds. They tell you that the negative results in a world where our politics are hamstringed by the most extreme of opinions. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that is what American government looks like today. We have read tons of good evidence from experts that the existing extremism and political polarization that divides our very nation today is a direct result of the two-party system. When we lack a third or fourth choice and we instead pit Americans against each other as either Democrat or Republican, we inevitably result in a world of extremism, of polarization, of one of divide, and one where we can't come together to compromise. But that does not have to be what the world looks like. In a world in which we have multi-party representation and the broad spectrum of beliefs can be captured by independent parties, people can, one, choose who they want to vote for, not as a means to an end, but as an end in and of itself, voting for a party that actually cares for their beliefs, rather than using those beliefs as a stepping or jumping off point to win themselves the ballot. To wrap things up, we were given 5 points to discuss today, and it is a crush on all 5 of them. First, the free enterprise point, never addressed by our opponents. Every other country that we've identified, from New Zealand to Canada to Germany, all have higher per capita GDP rates and a better quality of living because they are better at promoting the quality of life standards that come along with free enterprise in a country where individuals' beliefs are fairly represented. On foreign policy, they have dropped that a two-party system results in inconsistencies where leaders roll back the policies of previous administrations for political gain. That doesn't happen in a multi-party system. On education, they have dropped that it polarizes educational policy. No Child Left Behind is great, but we are at risk in this next election of losing the Department of Education. That is a direct result of the extreme polarization that exists in our political system today. On healthcare, they bring up the ACA. Yes, the ACA is great, but it has been deadlocked in Congress since it came out from doing any further than it does right now. But again, every country that we pointed out, Canada, New Zealand, Germany, all have a multi-party system and provide healthcare to all of their people. On affirmative action, again, they have dropped that polarization exists as a tool to weaponize issues like affirmative action for political gain, which means these dire, critical issues to individual communities get used and weaponized, and at the end of the day, nothing good happens as a result. To quickly go over the last few things the pro said. On representation, again, we've proven a multi-party system provides better representation. Rather than using voters as a means to an end, we use them as an end in and of themselves. The party represents what the voters of that party actually want. On the issue of legitimacy, absolutely, we can still vote out bad leaders. If a party loses a majority, even in a multi-party system, then it no longer has executive authority. We can vote out bad leaders in a multi-party system. It's what happened in the UK a couple weeks ago when Keir Starmer won over Rishi Sunak. Lastly, the argument of no other option. That is not true. We absolutely have other options. Ranked choice voting, proportional representation can be done in this country. It has been done in other places. New Zealand only made the change in the 1990s. It's not like this is something that has to be baked into our system. It is something that can be developed, it can be changed, it can be modified, and it can result in a better world of American politics. Look, if the world that you guys see today seems like a good and friendly world of politics where we get along and everything goes great, then I don't know what to tell you. But that is not the world we exist in today. Families have been separated, communities have been divided, neighbors have been pit against each other, all because of the Democrat-Republican titles. But we can do away with that. Through a multi-party system, we can work for a better system of governance that better captures the belief of all people and results in a friendlier, more effective, and ultimately more advantageous political system. Thank you.
All right. All right, let's really close this today. Today, I will be outlining the key voters or the main reasons as to why the affirmation Howard University, the real HU, has won today's debate. My opponent talks about not addressing topic areas, but let's talk about the fact that my opponent offered you no value framework for this round. Thus, the highest framework in this round is that of the affirmative. They give you no moral weighing mechanism to tie their case back to. I argue that this is more important because at the end of the day, regardless of policy, regardless of legislation, resolution, or topics that some of us don't even understand, we need to decide that this is the most moral for us. And Howard University outlines that for you, and that there is a legitimate government that values and protects you, the two-party political system. So let's begin with the first topic of polarization. Let's start with our burden. Today, Samford has asked us to discuss how polarization is not going to exist. However, as my partner and I have outlined, this is non-unique to a two-party system. We argue that the two-party system is not perfect. We agree that it needs reform, as every system needs to evolve. But the point still stands that a two-party system is the best system for the United States, not New Zealand, not Germany, not any other government except the United States. Additionally, as we discussed burdens, my opponent never addressed the burden that the negation needs to prove that alternative systems provides better representation, greater legitimacy, and viable governments. Thus, the burden lies with the negation to demonstrate that systems other than the established two-party framework can effectively address the complexities. Imagine you're at work and someone is constantly criticizing a project plan, pointing out every single thing that is wrong with it. They complain about inefficiencies, say it won't work, and tear it apart piece by piece. But when you ask them for solutions, they have nothing. This is what the negation is doing. There is no solvency, there's no plan of action, but they sit here and want to complain. But the affirmative is sitting here and telling you that the effectiveness of a two-party political system. Now, secondly, my opponent is making this point of polarization more dramatic or extreme than it actually is. As my partner outlined in his last speech, it is not unique to a two-party system, but more importantly, all of these problems that my opponent is addressing today cannot be coalition and cannot be put on a two-party system. As Nizov 21 outlines that all the problems that America faces from political polarization and partisanship, it is not to be blamed on a two-party political system. Next, let's go to democracy. Go back to our value framework, the only value framework within this round that Howard University offers you. We offer that which concerns collective decision-making, by which we mean decisions that are made for groups and are meant to be binding on all members of the group. My opponents are arguing for a multi-party system, but are outlining countries that are nothing like the United States. The United States is diverse and unique. There's no other democracy is like us. No one is like us. So we need a solution for us. As my partner outlines in regard to my opponent's point of inquiry, Black politics do not go unnoticed in a two-party system, as my opponent wants you to believe. What we need to avoid is political demonstration in a two-party political system. Black people benefit. Democracy benefits. They like to call Black people a monolith or monolithic, but what we need to have is a two-party political system because we have a choice. Protect the Black vote. We're doing so protects the Black vote and other votes of color if we are monolithic. A two-party system gives us the choice. It gives us community colors. It gives us a choice. Now, finally, this is not about being the best. It is about being the best, not perfect. Today, the affirmative has outlined today's debate in two or now three speeches about how the two-party system may not be perfect, but it is the best for our democracy. As I outlined at the beginning of our case, it is the highest quality of being the most suitable, pleasing, or effective type of thing or person. The two-party system, while not flawless, protects the most essential pillars of a functioning democracy. It ensures that no voice is silenced, that leaders are held accountable, and that the will of people is continuously tested and validated through open debate and electoral competition. It creates a governance structure that evolves with the society, promoting progress while safeguarding against the dangers of absolute power. The two-party system is a system that allows for accountability to flourish, a system that was set up for the civil rights movement to take place, a movement that happened right outside these doors and in the city and in Washington, D.C. as well. The two-party system is a system that protects our votes. Because of this umbrella system of political ideologies, we live and work and breathe in a system that gives us the opportunity to choose. By having the power of choice, we protect those who cannot choose before. That means we are protecting the brown vote, protecting the woman vote, protecting the Black vote, protecting our vote. This is a debate about choice. And at the end of the day, a two-party system gives us that choice. And a system that my opponent is arguing for, that choice does not exist. So I urge you to think about the choices that are coming up in our next election, coming up next month. So when you are thinking about your right to choose, think about a two-party system. So it is for these reasons that I offer a ballot for the right to choose, a ballot for Howard University. You know.
I just don't know what to feel anymore about politics and parties. And I was awake and I got shaken by them and then got resettled by them. And I thought I knew something. But I sat back there and watched them research and work while they prepared for their proposition opposition. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So let's give them another huge hand. I'll take a standing ovation for these people. Seriously, that was amazing. All right. Wow. All right. We got to do a few more things here. Our signs fail. There's no winner. This is an exhibition debate. There's no winner. Now, you might be able to find something in your heart that sparked you, that encouraged you, that made you wonder. And it is for you to keep to yourself. Today, it's about showing people that their brains are more powerful than the sacrifice of their bodies on a football field or a basketball court. Showing people that we can engage in civil thought and conversation and do more than just argue and fight. Y'all can have a seat. We have something really quick to do, which is allow some questions. So I've got room for a couple of questions. You ready? Okay. I'll just grab a mic here. That one. Yes, please. Mm-hmm.
Yes, my name is Wanda Shelby, and I'm a debater for Mounds College. And my question is for Samford University. Can multi-party system still demonize and ostracize the American public, the Dixiecrats?
Yeah, we think that it's, sorry. Obviously, it's not impossible for extremists to exist in any context, and they always are going to exist. But in a multi-party system, they have far less power and far less voice. So in a multi-party system, when you have a diversity of thought, even if you have particular extremist kind of fringe groups, those voices tend to be much more diluted than they exist today in our given parties. As of right now, and not speaking to the specifics of any one party, but both parties tend to be hamstringed by the extremists within those groups. If you look back to the last Speaker of the House election, there was a small contingency of Republicans who were able to keep the Speaker of the House, McCarthy, from being confirmed for like 27 rounds of voting, all because they were able to kind of hold that little bit of power onto. And so in that way, in our current system, small numbers of people are able to kind of hinge or hamstring our entire parties. In a multi-party system, those extremists would have a voice, but it would be a minority party rather than them being able to kind of capitalize and take over the entirety of one of our two large parties.
Next question.
I'm sorry, I know it was supposed to be for the students. Well, 2 points. Germany, France, Spain, those countries were overthrown or overtaken by third, fourth party political dynamics. Nazis and Hitler was able to kind of take over that component of Germany. What happened in Spain and what you're seeing happen today in France with the kind of far right dynamic happening with that. How would it be that, I know you said that they won't be able to overthrow or overtake those parties. With a multi-party system, how do you stop Adolf Hitler from consolidating power and overtaking or overthrowing the country?
That's a great question. First of all, the National Socialist Party did win a majority. So they weren't kind of an extremist fringe. I mean, they were an extremist party, but they weren't a fringe group. They were a majority party and won majority election. So in that way, at a certain point in any electoral system, if enough people believe in the cause, then they're going to vote that cause into office. The difference is that in today's society, at least in today's America, those opinions are extremist and fringe. It's a small number of people who really invest in and believe in that ideology. And in that way, they're able to kind of consolidate less power or get in more votes. So I think in the Germany case specifically, it's kind of not really applicable, because in the same way, if Hitler today was running as a Democratic or Republican nominee, would he be able to get those votes? In terms of what's happening right now in France and in places like Germany, so you have like the AFP party in Germany, and then you have the kind of far right movement that's happening in France. But the power of the multi-party government is the ability for opposing parties to coalition. So in a place like Germany, even though the AFP was able to win like 12% of the vote in the last election, you had other major parties that were able to coalesce and then disincentivize or kind of disintegrate the power of that one extremist party. In the same way, in the United States, if we remove these fringe actors from our existing large political parties that are able to kind of take it all over right now, we'll see more kind of coalition government in terms of response to that, which we think is able to kind of dilute that and kind of resolve some of those problems.
Hi, my name is Jonna Kylie Summers, and I go to I3 Academy Elementary School, and I was wondering, like, have y'all ever done this like before, or is it like your first time?
I can answer this one. So this is not my first time. I have done speech and debate since 8th grade, so I was pretty young when I started. I'm so happy that you're doing speech and debate and that you're here. But I've had lots of practice and experience. I'm now 19 years old, so I started when I was about 13. So I have about 6 years of practice and experience, but this was not my first time. Khalil, was this your first time?
This was also not my first time. I started speech and debate in college. So I'm a junior, so I have now 3 years of experience. Again, so happy you're getting involved with speech and debate. So happy for being here. And yeah, please continue with it. It really just helps you build that confidence and things of that nature.
Same with us over here. Definitely keep it up, because the kids who start at the youngest, I'll tell you, I've been beat pretty badly by some people who started in 5th grade, and by the time they're a senior in college, they've been doing it for over half their life, and I've been whooped up. So you should start young, keep it up, and yeah, you'll get there.
Hello, my name is Madison Chandler. This question is for Samford. The countries that you mentioned, they have lower populations than the United States. So how could a multi-party system work for a country with a larger population?
Yeah, so basically with like a proportional vote and a multi-party system, what that does is it allocates like a certain amount of like congressional like seats for like people to be voted into. And so the proportion of like representation of the parties is going to be represented directly on how many people vote for them. So like the makeup and demographics of like the new government that would be implemented like with a multi-party system, that would like directly reflect the political will of the people, because it's a direct translation of how many people think like this to how many lawmakers sit in those seats to represent them.
We'll take one more question from a young person, and we'll have to move to the next thing. Okay, 2 questions. That's it. 2 questions. One there, one there.
Hi, my name is Carly Duckworth. I have a question for both of you guys. How long did it take you guys to prepare and research for this debate?
Have Howard answer first.
Yeah, so for major exhibitions like this, where we have like much more convoluted topics, I believe we had about a month to prepare. So this is something that we had a long time to research, to practice, and really just make sure we're doing well during the debate. So I would say about a month.
For us, we got the topic at the same time. I'm sure our process is pretty similar. A lot of times when you first get a topic, you just want to read all about it, know as much as you can about it before you ever put pen to paper. Just what can I know? And that, that kind of process of just reading. And then eventually, I don't know, maybe a week, 2 weeks ago, when it got close to it, we sat down, we put pen to paper, and we came out with our cases.
All right, final question.
Hi, my name is Rachel Hicks, and me and my friends are here from Hoover High School. I have a question for Howard. Can the two-party system evolve to represent needs and opinions of modern citizens, or does it inherently resist change?
Yeah, that's kind of something we talked about in our case. So the two-party system is actually one that fosters change. So like the civil rights movement was something that was only able to happen because of a two-party system. Because we have a democratic republic representational two-party system, that is able to be held, like people are be able to be held accountable. And because of the way that our system in the United States is set up, if we have, political change or things of that nature, then the system allows for that to actually go into writing. So I do believe that the system allows for change and it does represent the needs of modern citizens. Do you have a comment, Kalu?
No, I completely echo your sentiments. Again, our political structure is far from perfect, but we still think that a two-party system is really kind of what allows the will of the people to be represented. And even though our two parties really just have umbrella campaigns in terms of like what their specific political ideologies are, there's still opportunity to be represented in a two-party structure. So yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So we're going to move to something really, really awesome. The teams don't know we're doing this, but first, I just want to point out something. This guy right here in the middle with the suit on, the vest, and all the fancy accoutrement, his name is Lord Watson. What his idea was to produce this, we talked about it, and it's difficult. It's new. Birmingham hasn't seen this before. Intellectual sport is a term coined in this movement. I want y'all to know how difficult it is to do something as a pioneer. And Mr. Watson, Lord, as we call him, I have trouble when I pray because I'm like, Lord, and then I have to text Lord something, and then it's so, but I just want y'all to know how important the work he's doing is and why he would take the effort to do something like this, which is new and hard, and it's you have to teach people how to like themselves in a different way. Lord, join me on stage. Y'all clap this guy up. Big hand. Come on, Mr. Watson. Come on stage. Here we go. As we get set up for this next part, I want to thank some people. Jennifer Duckworth and her crew, thank you for coming out. Dr. Smitherman, you popped up in my life in the last 24 hours. I mean, Richardson, sorry, I don't know. It's the end of the day. Dr. Richardson. And I heard about your impact in the last 24 hours. It's incredible. Bridget, she got Howard to come down on their homecoming week. Instead of being at homecoming. People from Hoover, thank you for coming over. 6th Avenue Baptist, thank you for everything you all did. And I see somebody important there in the background too. Lord's wife. Is that Katrina back there? Yes. She is a huge part of how this guy exists. Teams, thank you for showing up. Thank you for going through all the rigmarole with us, Howard and Samford. We got Miles has a debate team now, kind of birthed out of a new partnership, and their debate director is here, and one of their debaters is here. It's a proud day to be a part of this. Thank you to Sephra for all the hard work she did. And without further ado, if I can have Bridget and my wonderful wife, Crystal, I'll say the best for last. Bridget, Crystal, Katrina, Lee, Dr. Miner, and Dr. Smith, Dr. Richardson on stage, please. Did I say Richardson? Did I get it right? I got it. Richardson. Please join us on stage. Thank you. So Dr. Miner is walking upstairs here. She is the coach for the Howard debate team. She has seen, I guess, a 300% surge in debaters applying to join their team this year, obviously because of the election, but also because just the work that they do. Samford, have y'all seen a big bump in numbers? Always. Okay, always. Fantastic. We're going to do something special. We're going to give a check to each team, $1,000 to each school. Yes. It's a surprise. This is not for your general fund. This is for your debate and speech department, for you all. Travel with it, buy equipment with it, whatever you want to do. we're gonna technically, let's get everybody in the middle. Let's get everybody touching. Okay, we're gonna go down, y'all. Come on down. We're all going down. Yeah, Lord, if you'll go to the middle, please. Touch. All right. Yes. Just walk right to me. Oh no, they got So now this is turning into a picture opportunity, but we'll get there in 1 second. We just want to give away money, but it's got to get organized now. Okay, we'll come down there. Go down there. Let me slip down in front of you.
I have no clue what I'm doing.
We got it. We got it. Okay. No, I'm good.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
You did great.
No, thank you.
Professionals tell me what to hold and what
You got it? Good.
You
I don't want you to touch both checks.
You just holding our
Can you touch both checks?
HU?
I
So
need-
you want them to switch? Yeah, I didn't know if they had a specific. Okay. So
Let's go to the middle.
look at
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
This guy needs to touch both checks.
Touch
All
the
right.
money.
Touch the money. Touch the
So you
money.
want to stand behind him since you
Sure.
want to call him?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll go somewhere. Don't worry about me. Just want to get the check. So, on behalf of the Penny Foundation, Camp College, who's not here, our foundation and our company, our team, and all the people who support what Lord is doing, we want to give each team $1,000 specifically to your department, and we can work out the details when we leave. But thank you all for the hard work. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the travel. Thank you for hanging out with us in DC. There's more on the stage than you really can comprehend as far as knowledge and depth and experience. Please feel free to talk to these people, ask questions, get involved in this. The Birmingham Debate League is something that exists and will continue to exist. The Penny Foundation will be a major sponsor of it and continue to push that. Get into this as fast as possible. I'm a parent that has one kid with a broken arm from football, a kid with a broken and dislocated finger from football. I'm in love with debate now. I'm in love with debate. One more time for the debaters and the coaches. Big hand. One more time for the Penny Foundation. Big hand. Everybody, these are our debate teams. Thank you for coming. Wait, one more thing. We have another event produced by the Penny Foundation on Sunday from 1 to 5. It is the Southern Scholars Showcase, Pathway to Success. It's an event where we'll talk about how to get into college, how to pay for college, how NIL works, how to find scholarships, which you can actually get at age 4. We'll have experts here in town talking to you about how to do this successfully, how to be a walk-on athlete, Title IX. I think I saw a Title IX person here from Samford. Yes. We'll talk about Title IX. Attorney Overton. Oh, fantastic. What that means for your students. You have rights that you don't know anything about for the most part. So we'll talk about a lot of subjects. We're also going to give away a $1,000 scholarship in person on Sunday. It's at the Forum Conference Center of the BJCC. And whatever school system has the most students, we're going to give that school $500 scholarship. We have flyers in the back, and they'll give you all the information you need. Everybody, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the teams for coming. Huh? Okay, time for pictures. If you want to meet the debaters, we have a few minutes. Everybody else lives here. If you want to meet the debate teams, go to Howard first. They have to get on a flight because they got to go do homecoming. A little jealous. Sounds like a lot of fun. So a few minutes taking pictures, and then come meet these folks. And if we can cue some kind of nice background music, that'd be nice. What's that?